Welcome to Chordially Invited.
Hi, I'm Janet Varney.
I am your host, Lily Kay.
Most people, I think, know me first and foremost as the voice of Korra from The Legend of Korra. Why don't you come and find out? Doing the podcast Braving the Elements with my co-host Dante Bosco.
We're back!
That's right, buddy. We sure are. But beyond that, I run a comedy festival, SF Sketch Fest in San Francisco every year that I founded with some friends from college. And I do a bunch of podcasts, and that's kind of it.
Hi, Janet. Welcome.
Hi, great to see you again.
It's so great to see you too. It's been a very long time.
I guess it has been. If we're really doing the math, I guess it has been.
Yes, we're not going to do the math. We're going to be graceful to ourselves.
I think that's best. That's a good idea.
I
Very
think so
good
too.
idea.
Yes. How have you been? That's the very most important question, really.
I've been good. The world is a crazy place. Everything feels like it has to be sort of conditioned by saying that it feels crazy. But I feel very lucky to have, a wonderful community, numerous communities, I guess, both off and online who are compassionate and wonderful people who want the world to maybe go in a slightly different direction than it feels like it is right now. But I'm hopeful. But listen, I have a tiny bird's nest in a little kind of bush/tree right outside where I record, and there is a bird sitting on a couple of eggs. So
Enjoy the
find
little
your
things.
joys.
Yes.
Yes, they're so cute. I was so afraid that I feel like that always happens. Like birds always build nests right next to where I am all the time. And I'm like, but I'm going to scare you away. I don't want to scare it away from landing. And I don't know how I miss the nest being built. But anyway, now my new theory is that like Snow White, they feel safe. They feel safe around me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a Disney princess. That's it.
I'm a Disney princess. It's as simple as that. That's all I need. That's what I needed to find that out. Is just that's the way you find out whether you're a Disney princess.
Yeah,
is you
exactly.
realize that birds build nests near you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it. We solved the mystery.
We did it.
We did it. All right. People know you through so many different lenses: acting, voice work, hosting things. But when you think about your life, what feels like the through line that connects it all?
Well, that's a great question. You always have such good questions, Lily. I do think, and I hope that it will be that most of the stuff I've done has had a net positive effect, and I'm sure that's how we all feel. But when I think about a lot of the projects that I've been able to be involved with, I genuinely hope that they help people feel better. And so even though that might take a totally different form of I produced this live comedy show in San Francisco and people laughed there and felt better when they left, or I get to be a part of this amazing show that, people come back to time and again for either comfort viewing or feeling seen or heard. And same thing with my podcast. I think there was a time where I don't know that I was as concerned with what I was making, helping people. But as I've gotten older, and I think honestly, doing the JV Club, which was a podcast that I sort of have on hiatus right now because I'm so busy, but doing that and doing Korra, those things were sort of happening at the same time. I was building them at the same time. I think those were kind of the twin pieces that when I started getting really lovely feedback from people about not just enjoying something I did, but feeling better and feeling seen. Through those, you kind of get greedy for that feeling. So then you kind of want, what you do to have that impact.
Just to mention my personal side of the story, because I'm, that's how I know you as well, is Korra helped me through some very shitty times. I can't put it any nicer. And I will forever be grateful for that series, because it really, it has so many meaningful moments and so many lessons that I think I still carry with myself to this day. And sometimes still when I feel a bit low, I just put it on and have a great time. So, I will definitely be one of those people who's going to be like, let's watch it again.
Good. I love to hear it. I love
Korra. Korra is the best. I always said that. I'm a Korra fangirl. And I'm so sad because I used to have a Korra t-shirt. And I don't know what happened, but the print on it just disappeared one day from the version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny you bring that up because I have so many shirts like that, and I just pulled one out of my drawer and was like, I think I need to try to replace this because I know what it used to look like,
Yeah.
but
It
now
doesn't
I'm
look,
wearing it and no one knows what it just looks like. It might have been something once.
yep.
So I was
Yep.
like, maybe I can track down the same thing. Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe you
it's
can get another Korra shirt. Was it mass produced or was it like a
the
fan made
thing.
thing?
It was like a special edition thing collection. I'm
Okay.
not sure if it was part of like an Avatar collection, but I
Yeah.
remember that it was like a special edition, and it was like the only one that had like Korra in the middle, and that's it.
Okay.
And I was so
Okay.
excited because I don't usually like when it's like something written on it. I just
Yeah.
like to have the characters, and I was like, oh, it was made for me, you know.
Yeah.
And now she disappeared. I'm so sad.
Ugh,
Like
I bet you could find I bet you could find a version
I,
out there.
probably
Hopefully it wouldn't be too
eBay is
expensive,
gonna
but
be
yeah,
my friend.
exactly. There you
Pro-
go.
there we go. And since we talk about people and being in people's life in one way or another with what you do, you've been doing a lot of Comic Cons, and I
Yeah.
wonder if you have like a very memorable experience from that you can share with us here. That was like so unexpected,
Mm.
hopefully in a good way. But if you want to say
Yeah.
the bad way, I can be game for that as
It's still a
well.
story. Still a story.
Yes.
No, I mean this is kind of a goofy non-answer. And I'm sure I can come up with something that's a little more specific. But quite honestly, one of the reasons that I do them so often, and I know this is also true of my fellow kind of Avatar family and beyond, really, any friend of mine that does conventions, it's an intense thing to do. It is a lot of traveling, and we don't live in the sphere of like, you know, being like Mark Hamill, where you're just making all of this money, and that's kind of. I mean, I'm not saying that this is true for him because I don't even know. He doesn't. I think he's actually pretty shy and doesn't do cons that often. But there are people who come for the paycheck, and sometimes they are also, and very often they're also lovely people and they make their fans feel amazing. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think we sort of operate at a tier where we are, it's not like we're like, yeah, payday. It's really more about the interactions with fans. I mean, it's just, I think it would be really hard to do conventions for a show, for example, that I didn't just love with all my heart. And I think sometimes people do that. And, you know, if you're on a super popular video game, but it's not something you would play, and then you're meeting people for 3 days straight who are like, this is so amazing. You're like, oh, I'm so glad that you like it. I think that's one thing. And I think that's great and important and wonderful too. But for us to be able to just be like, oh my God, what's your favorite episode? Who are your favorite characters? Who do you ship? And have those conversations be genuine because we all know how great the shows are and how great the Avatarverse is and how much there is to say about them. That is where the value is. So every con I will have at least one situation where, like, you know, both me and the person I'm talking to are like sobbing because there's like
Oh,
something, you know, some key event in their lives that
yeah.
Korra helped them through, or, you know, coming out to their parents because of her. There's just a lot of really beautiful, like, soul, like, cleansing and feeding conversation that happens when you talk Avatar. And so there's always something. I'll come back just bubbling over with like 5 different, you know, minimum stories where I'm like, and then I met this little girl and she watched Korra with her mom, and then, you know, and then now she and her mom take martial arts together, and da da da. Like, there's always something like that, you know, there's just always stuff like that, and it's really beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
Oh, I bet. Like, you know, I always watch these things from the outside. Usually, when I'm at a Comic Con, I'm like, you know, I either go see someone, and I always just see all these lines, like just lining up for that person, and you can hear the excitement of everyone. It's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I can't believe I'm gonna meet her or meet him or meet them,
Yeah.
and, you know, and it's like it always gives me the extra buzz. Like I'm already buzzing, but then I hear all the
Yes.
people around me, and I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. What's going on?
It's great.
honestly, and respect to all of you because I know it's quite a regular thing for many to stay longer so they can make sure that they can have a proper conversation because
Yeah.
obviously everyone hates when you are being rushed when you're like, okay, next,
Yeah.
next, next, next. But the
Yeah.
fact that you guys take the time, respect, like
Oh,
honestly.
I think that's yeah, I think that's true of everyone. And it's funny because, that compounds on itself, right? You want to have a longer conversation, which means that people are waiting longer,
Waiting
which then
longer,
you
yeah.
feel bad about. So you want to make sure that you give
Yeah.
everyone time. Sometimes I like the smaller cons because I hate waiting in line and I never expect anyone to want to wait in a line for anything ever. So sometimes the smaller ones are nice because you do have like it's always just like five people at a time, so it never feels like you're talking the same amount and you're seeing the same amount of people, but somehow it's timing out so that no one has to wait that long and you can still spend time with everyone, and that always feels really good. The most stressful is when you come in and there's already like a ton of people and then you're like, "Oh no, like each person that's in the furthest in the back is waiting the longest from this moment forward." Like I know, that's just how, speaking of not doing math, but that's just how that's going to work. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I like when it's nice when it's quiet, a little quieter sometimes. And
Mm,
they cons come in all shapes and sizes and
that's
levels
true.
of busyness depending where it's located and all that kind of stuff. And there's something to be said for like all manner of busy versus like a little more small town.
Yeah, definitely. I want to pivot to JV Club. The JV Club for me is about listening. So, listening to the guests and hearing their stories and whatnot. What have you learned about how people reveal themselves during these talks?
Well, I think the thing that I sort of hoped would be true turned out to be true, which was extremely comforting to me, which is that even these, people that I think of as being these just, luminous, ethereal, otherworldly talents who probably never had a bad day in their life or, feel like they must have what is the thing? What is that inherent difference that makes them so spectacular? And, how can I be more like that? And I think the thing that I keep coming back to over and over across, the hundreds of episodes that I've done is really just finding out like, oh, there isn't that thing. I mean, people are special. People, yes, have a lot of luck on their side, a lot of privilege on their side, depending on where they're born and when and to whom and where they get to live and all of that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, almost every person you walk away going, oh, well, they had because for people who don't know, I really focus in on people's teenage years because that's such a formative time. Everyone has yes, there are a million different stories. And again, some hardships are unique and unusual and scary, and some aren't, and yet you feel this through line of humanity and insecurity and vulnerability and overcoming of obstacles that makes you should remind people like, oh, I'm not like lesser than someone who happens to have had this like kind of success that I look at as meaning something. It doesn't really necessarily mean what you might think it means, because these are still human beings who wake
Yeah.
up and feel horribly insecure or depressed or excited or surprised about the direction that their lives have taken,
Hmm.
just as much as we would.
Yeah. What did you, I wonder, like, hearing these stories, what is something that you learn about yourself when you do this? What do you find in these stories of like, oh, I can reflect on that, or what goes through your head?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me that I learned probably fairly early on in doing the podcast was really understanding about myself how much I limited what I thought I could be good at or was good at
Hmm.
from a child onward.
Hmm.
That like if I encountered someone who was really great at this thing that I had never tried, instead of that being inspiring to me, like, oh, I could do that too, I think I sort of would be like, oh, well, they're already doing it and they're already great at it. That must mean I'm not good at it, or I wouldn't be good at it, or maybe I would
Mm-hmm.
already be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was just very insecure about, and again, this comes from like luck too. Like I did not come from, I came from the privilege of like being born in the United States in this certain era, but I'm from a small city and public high school teachers, background. Both my parents were talented, and I think I, inherited some of those talents, and so there were things I was kind of naturally more good at. And so if I wasn't like pretty good at something from the go, I would just assume I was terrible at it, and then I would just walk away from it and be like, oh, I guess that belongs to someone else. And so that's kind of and hearing, especially from people who and again, that's not something that my parents instilled in me. No, they were never like, you probably shouldn't try, blah, blah, blah. Like they never, that was all internalized from my perspective. And then I talked to people who were like, I don't know, like I wasn't really happy at my high school, so I just decided I'd go to a different high school, and my parents, went along with it. Or, I never learned to swim, and at age 30 I decided to learn to swim. Like it really helped encourage me to realize it's never too late for most things.
Yeah.
Now am I going to become, I don't know, an alpine skier right now? Probably not. It's also not a huge priority for me, but I think there are just things that you can give yourself permission to try,
Yeah.
and know, like, you don't have to be great at it. You can be really bad at it and you can still have fun. And you can be bad and then get great. And you don't have to have like a path that's like, well, if I want to be this, I better get really good. Like, no. And for me, one of the big moments was snorkeling, and it's so funny that really stands out to me. But I had never been snorkeling. I've also never been scuba diving, but again, is that a huge priority for me? I don't know, but I know I could get certified if I wanted to. But I just thought, I like snorkeling. I don't know, like I'm weird about like panic and breathing in closed spaces, and I think maybe I'll feel weird trying to breathe through this tube that goes out into the. And I just kind of never even tried it. I was just like, oh, that's not for me, without having tried
Mm-hmm.
it. And
Mm-hmm.
then one time, finally, someone was like, why don't you just try it? Like you can literally, here, take these fins, take this snorkeling gear, take
Yeah.
these goggles, walk right out there into the water and see what you
Just
think.
yeah.
And there's no like there's no nothing to lose. There's literally like basically nothing to lose. It's very safe. And I did it and I was like, oh my God, I love this. That was just a perfect example of like, wow, there was such a small barrier to entry to this like hobby that, do I do it every day? Of course not. But like just this thing that for some reason, and I came back from that trip and was like, I'm a snorkeler, everyone. I snorkel. And that just felt so like, if this, then what else,
Yeah. The world opened
The world
suddenly.
opened a little bit through
Yeah.
snorkeling. Who knew?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I love that. I love that because
Yeah.
I think I suffer from being like, you need to be perfect at what you do.
Yeah. I
So
get it.
it's very hard for me to feel like I can do a lot of things. Just like you
Yeah.
said it, like I was like, yeah, yeah, that's me as well. Yeah, yeah. Unless I do
Yeah.
it perfectly, I'm out. Like,
Which is
and that's
probably why you connect with Korra, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's something that she was told from being a child, like, you're this person, you're important, you have value, and all
yeah,
of that is, and you're great, and you're special, and all of that is so great. But sometimes the way that gets internalized is, what if they're wrong? What if I let them
yeah.
down? What if I let myself down? What if, what if? And that can be very paralyzing.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's honestly, yeah. Korra is just the best for learning to let that go. Really,
Yeah.
to be okay with sometimes not being the best and not being always right and perfect. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's
There's
it's
so much
definitely.
freedom in that
Oh yes,
feels like if you're afraid of hard feelings, which again, I always was very sensitive and I just hated fighting with anyone, or I hated feeling like
yeah,
someone was mad at me or anything like that. I just
yes,
hated that,
yes,
avoided that feeling. And I think those things kind of tie in together too, that you find out like, oh, I can get through this. I can get through feeling disappointed, or I can get through feeling like I failed, and I can come out on the other side as a potentially better version of myself, is like, again, it seems so simple when you just see it in black and white, but like we're human, and once we're in our environment and interacting with fellow humans and all of that, then it starts to feel more complicated.
And it takes time, and that's okay. Like that's
Yeah,
what I learned from Korra as well, that it's okay to take your time. It's perfectly fine.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Korra forever. That's all I
Or
have to say.
Korra.
And we're going to talk about Korra now because we already pivoted to her. And
Sure.
I always wanted to ask this, and I don't think I did when we did the podcast. We're not doing that when it was. So,
Blah, 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 years ago.
blah, 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 years ago. When you voiced Korra, how did you approach expressing physical intensity without being on the screen?
It's really hard, especially if you come from, which I think almost every voice actor does. You come from, you start by just studying acting, and acting involves a lot of live performance and that kind of stuff, and being in your body and using all of those tools as well. And then when you try to boil it down to just being your voice, it can be very hard. And with physical jobs like that, I mean, I was really learning on the go. I had never done, I had not done a ton of voiceover anyway, and I certainly hadn't done a lot of physical stuff. The characters I had played had just been, goofy, or there just wasn't as much kind of, martial arts, for example. And so Dante and I always joke about this because he's the same way. And we really had to like figure out how to. I mean, I think it's funny because when I think about some of the kind of stuff that you watch the avatars, but also other benders learn in the avatar verse, and also other superhero type stuff, where, or even like other types of athleticism, where there's this idea of kind of taking everything that is like the what is it, the kinesthetics of like of your entire body needing to come through this one thing, whether it's a pitch or hitting the tennis ball or shooting light out of your eyes or, making fire, or like all of that. I think that I've never thought about this before, but I think that is kind of what you're doing as a voice actor, is like you have to take this whole storm of stuff that's going on and you have to focus it to just that one pitch. You can't waste any energy. You can't, you have to like know how to channel it through this one place. And so it is actually very similar to a lot of kind of other techniques in sports and stuff. But in this case, that, that muscle, I always roll my eyes when people are like, my muscle, my instrument. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, it is kind of that. You have to be able to take all of that that wants to exist through your whole body and just ball up that energy and then shoot it out of your mouth hole.
Because I did have this very fun conversation of like, why do we feel the need to make sounds when we do sports, for example? Like, there's the yelling, there's the, I don't know, when you run, you feel like you have to do this.
Yeah.
Or when you do tennis, then you're going to be like, and I always wondered, like, why? Or why is this a thing of like humans making sound? When we do sports, and then I started to wonder of like, you're in a booth recording your lines, and obviously Korra does a lot of martial arts and a lot of bending, and then you have to somehow get all those sounds out. Was it like when you had to make sounds of like, was that written out, or were they like, okay, so you have to make a sound now, you're fighting? How did it look like?
Yeah, luckily, that's what a voice director is there for, which is super helpful, which is to say, and by the way, I will say it did help to have, this isn't true of every Avatar actor, and some of them are spectacularly better at being voice actors and voice martial artists than I am. But in my particular case, and I know in Dante's too, like I did a lot of movement, I did a lot of dance growing up, and I had done like kickboxing and yoga and all of these things that really do connect you with your body in this very specific way. And I think being able to recall that even as you're not doing the action is very helpful. But especially with effort sounds, usually you're going to do that in ADR anyway. So you're usually not at least not the finished product. You're not tasked with that completely cold with just a script and
Okay.
no. I mean, I'm just trying to think of like the projects I've directed. Like we usually get something, but we all kind of know like, this is probably just more of like a filler or like a scratch track for the physicality
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately the people who are going to be really dictating what that needs to sound like is the animators who are deciding what it's looking like. So ultimately you're going to be able, you usually have the gift of coming in and seeing what your character is doing so that you and the voice director and whoever else is in the room who, you know, can speak to that, whether it's the creators, the writers, or what have you, is to be able to say, okay, so you see there, like that is an impact. So we want to hear the sound of her being hit and losing her breath versus pushing out the sound of a punch, for example. And you have different tools in the toolbox for that. Like you have the visual, you have the director,
Yeah.
and then you have kind of your own experience of being inside of a body, which is why AI will never be as good as a human being at this, in my opinion. They'll never know what
Amen.
it's like to be inside a physical
Nope.
living body. So
Nope.
at
Nope.
least in no way, in no way that it exists right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. AI can get out.
Yeah.
That's the honest opinion. That's why it will never be able to draw art or do art because that's
It's
also
always going to
very,
iterate. It's
yeah,
always copying. It's always just copying. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, we could talk about this for hours.
I know.
It's like, why is this a thing? Why does it exist? But alas, did your understanding of Korra evolve the more you recorded, the more episodes you did, or did you have a clear understanding of who she is from the get-go?
I think the guys did once I had been cast and I got to, you know, read the real material and kind of really get to know where she came from, and it certainly helps to be a fan of the original series.
Yes.
What I think they did so well, and what I think shows it will happen for anyone who's acting with great writing behind them, is that I feel like I came to understand Korra in sort of the same way that she was understanding herself, which is sort of a nice, you know, the only thing, because we didn't know what was going to be happening from one week to the next, the only thing that I really knew for sure with some advance notice was that was the burgeoning relationship between Korra and Asami, because that was something that Mike and Brian and the writers felt forming, and they just kind of wanted us to know, like, you know, if you feel this happening, you're not wrong. And that's, I think,
Okay.
that was a good thing to know.
Mm-hmm.
And we were both, Seychelle and I were both so over the moon about it. So it was a wonderful secret to have, that apparently no one else, you know, no, only the need to knows were aware of that. So all our fellow actors and, you know, like nobody really kind of knew except for the people who were behind the scenes. And then Seychelle and I were given that beautiful preview gift, to help inform our performance.
Oh wow! But when did that happen? Was it like already during?
It wasn't like season one. It was deeper into the seasons, but it wasn't like, you know, a surprise to us to read, you know, those
Okay,
like the like season 4 episodes and stuff.
okay. So it wasn't like with Mark Hamill being pulled away by George Lucas of like, okay, so here's a secret. You can't tell anyone
Yeah,
because
this
if you
is a
tell
big
someone,
deal, but
yeah,
you need to know.
then you need to
Yeah,
know.
you know what? I don't know I don't know his chronology of that. I'm sure he's spoken about it, but do you know that to be true? Like, do we know
Yes,
that
yes,
from, yeah, so he
that's true.
knew, like,
He
no one
knew,
else is
like
gonna know, but
he was pulled away. He couldn't
yeah,
tell anyone because George
that's the
Lucas
right
literally
move.
said that if you're gonna tell someone, we're gonna know it was you.
Yeah, there's
So
only one place it's gonna come from.
exactly. So was it
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
did they pull you away and be like, look, this is what's happening? Shh.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what
Amazing.
happened.
I
Yeah, we
love
got
that.
to be together. Seychelle and I were told together, which was great.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really love that because for me, I think I realized it like almost by the end. I'm very bad at this stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I cannot read these things
Well,
really
and
well.
also
So
like it wasn't, the first season was so deep into Korra's, being a teenager and being this, having been in this very sheltered environment, and then suddenly having the free will to be out beyond the walls of her training areas and interacting with cute people and there was a lot of stuff that was like hard for people, I think, who were like there for the martial arts or there for the avatar of it all, and had to watch her kind of like stumble through relationship stuff. But like that is very much what would have happened to any teenager in that situation. But they also knew that they didn't, they had such specific stories that they wanted to tell from season to season with Korra, and they did know they were offered additional seasons like as they were writing the first season. That's kind of a misconception. People think like, oh, each time everyone thought this is the end, there's not going to be another one. No, they knew that they, if they chose to do it, that they would have these separate, and that's why they are so different from one another, but why they cohere,
coherent.
Why they cohere so beautifully is that, when you look at even the titles of the books, you're like, oh God, how could there only have been like there could only be 4 books? Like you need all 4 books to kind of complete for the purpose of, obviously the storytelling goes on from there, and a human being and an avatar are always going to be learning. But I think the way that those 4 books work together as a set is such a complete, wonderful way to tell the avatar's journey, and also the journey of all these other people and these different perspectives of why someone becomes someone else's villain, even if to themselves they are the hero, like your Kuviras and your Red Lotuses and all that. So anyway, I don't even remember how this started, what part of the conversation we're on, because I can just go on forever about it all.
Just go on, and I can just listen. Like, it's going to be a 2-hour edition for all the Korra friends out there. We love that.
Nice.
We love that for ourselves.
If only I had 2 hours. I might have to stop talking so much.
No, I love it. I love it. It's the best thing ever. But you have to tell me, I know it's a mean question in a way, but do you have a favorite season?
I mean, for me, it is 4 only because of what those types of like in terms of what conversations and what like bonds have I made with fans or community members, however you want to think about it. Fans feels kind of dismissive, and I don't mean it that way. Those conversations are the deepest about Korra Asami and about Korra's mental health and physical challenges and PTS. So for me, I cannot separate my experience of walking through the world and talking to people for whom that season in particular really meant something. I can't separate the two. So 4 will always be my favorite for that reason. And I can't even say like, well, if none of that were a thing and I never talked to anyone, would it still be my favorite? I can't even, I don't know. I mean, they're too intertwined at this point. But I love each season for different reasons. There's like something there's at least one little nugget from each season that I think, oh God, what if we hadn't gotten to make that season? This would never have happened, or we would never have found out about this, or, we wouldn't have been able to explore this side of bending and all that. But yeah, for just sheer bonding, it's 4 for me.
Okay. That's fair. I like that. I like that a lot. For me, it's 1. I just love season 1 so much.
I love season 1 too. I mean, season 1 is kind of also my favorite, but it's like, because it's the first time we really saw the new world, that we saw the Republic City, we saw what it meant to have Aang and Zuko change the world the way they did together, and and pro bending, and really Amon and his story and his brother. I think is really one of the strongest, single season arcs in 100%. Maybe all of television. So
100%. I loved it so much. And I remember at first not being 100% sure about it because it felt so different somehow.
Oh, it's so different. I totally get it. Yeah, it's a turn off. It can be a real turn off at first. And then, people just have to like let go.
Yeah, and I just kept coming back to it, and I fell in love. That's how we went, and I was like, this is fantastic. Please give me more. And we
Yes,
got more. So yeah,
yes.
it's the best day ever.
Yeah.
And before we jump onto the fan questions, I do have one more question that I really, really want. I
Sure.
mean, I have a shitload of questions if I'm completely honest, but I'm like, we would be here for hours. But
Ah.
there's one here that I'm really interested in. Looking back, which part of your career felt the most uncertain while you were in it, but now it makes perfect sense?
Oh, that's a great question. What is my answer to that? Realistically, I would have to say just when I first moved down to LA, or even before, I should say before I moved to LA, was the most strange and disruptive for me emotionally in my life as well, because I had lived in San Francisco. I went to school in San Francisco. I'm from Arizona, but I had gone to college in San Francisco and, in fact, had moved to San Francisco to establish residency so that I could pay in-state tuition because I didn't have any money. Um, so I had already had this relationship with San Francisco, and by the time I went to school there, and then working there, and doing comedy there, and being in a band there, and I really love that city. I still do, and San Francisco is not the kindest about Los Angeles. Los Angeles has no problem with San Francisco, but San Francisco is a bit dismissive of Los Angeles for being too big and too ugly and too loud and too and the show business being too, yes, there's great stuff, but it's also like, very judgmental or very money oriented or very this. So I was a bit of a snob about Los Angeles, and I had really no intention whatsoever of moving down here. And then when I started, because the comedy group I was in got scouted by like an HBO executive. They used to put on this comedy festival in Aspen, Colorado called the
Mm-hmm.
HBO Comedy Festival. That's where Flight of the Conchords came from, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I was there the same year as them, and I was like, these guys are amazing. Um, uh, started getting offers to come down and audition for things, and I had this whole other career kind of working in first like interior design and then interior design retail and merchandising at like a store that was really about just building your beautiful home for yourself and whatever that means to any one person, and then I had gotten into some like photography production and stuff, and so like I was living a life that allowed me to go ahead and try to come down to LA, but I felt like I was living someone else's life, and that's very disjointed
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
jarring
Yeah.
to stop doing like, oh, I'm let me put together this inventory list and send this purchase order. It feels very different than let me put on this push-up bra and get in my car and drive onto a studio lot and say some words that someone else wrote, and that's like my job for the day. It was very surreal, and you really do confront all of your insecurities when you're working in this business, but you're also surrounded by creative, lovely
Mm-hmm.
people who are making stuff that you're making art in some way. It's a commodity, but you're also making art. So I think for me that was really just a hard, strange time of like having to kind of come to understand that I did want to do this, and that maybe I had sort of like avoided doing it because it would hurt too much if it didn't work out. And then just like trying to kind of find my relationship with this Southern California life. And now, I'm like, I can really look back on that time with a lot of like sweetness and forgiveness for my own kind of like
Mm-hmm.
turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
and go, yeah, well, that was always going to be hard for anyone, not
Yeah.
just for me. Don't be, don't be hard on yourself, Janet, for being like an emotional wreck the first year you lived in LA. Of course you were going to be, and anyone would be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so I think that was definitely the time of like, oh my God, am I really doing this? And now looking back, I'm like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I was really doing it, and I am really doing it.
And it made perfect sense in the end, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Fair
did.
deal. Fair deal. I love that. It's good because it also encourages, I think, all those who are in the same shoes of like, yeah, it's kind of part of the deal a little bit.
Yeah,
There are just very, very minuscule few people who are go somewhere new and immediately hit it off, and it's all good.
yeah.
That's life
Even when
is.
you think that's what's happening, you end up looking back and going, "Oh, I was kind of a mess."
Yeah.
Like we don't
100%.
always know, I think that's
Exactly.
something that like for some of us COVID was like, I think I did okay. I was all right. And then only after it's all like 2 years have passed and things are sort of back to something that feels normal, then you're like, I might be really damaged from that period of time. Like you never know what you don't know when you're in the moment.
That's very true. That's very true. And we're going to pivot now to the fan questions because I have a
Great.
few for you. And
Okay.
I have to ask this first. It's my friend Elliot who loves Avatar the same way as I
Hi,
do.
Elliot.
Hey, Elliot. Amazing guest announcement. That's how we start off. I would ask Janet, what was the most challenging thing about voicing Korra?
I think it was I think it probably was just the technicality of being a voiceover actor. Everything that you and I kind of talked
Yeah.
about how to do it well, because it was to a certain degree a lot of on the job learning and being surrounded by people who were really good and who had been doing it a long time, and just not wanting to let anybody down. So I think yeah, the concern of just wanting to get it right and not get fired and or not do a poor job was a lot of pressure that I, kind of put on myself.
Robin Morgan is the next one. What she thinks about the whole situation with the movie leak. Obviously, we're talking about the
Oh
Avatar
yeah.
Studios leak, the unfortunate leak.
Yeah.
If she would like them to make a Korra movie at some point. So it's a double question, double-sided
Double
question.
question. I hate the leak. It's crushing.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing. I know for some. I think I'm glad that I think a lot of true Avatar fans understand that while it might feel like just a fun, like happy accident, or it might feel like, oh, Paramount Plus wanted to, just wants to make money off of this, and we should just be able to watch it free anyway. All that kind of stuff. I get all of that, but I also feel like this is a pretty good community for understanding. Like, it costs money to make these things. It took 4 to 5 years for this movie to get made. It deserved and deserves to have a huge celebration around its release. Not this trickling in, stealing it and, trying to make it okay by putting something on this like parent network that has nothing to do with Avatar Studios, nothing to do with Nickelodeon. Like, whatever you feel about those types of things, I get it, but like no one wins. And that's kind of why I ended up posting that on my Instagram. Was I really wasn't going to say anything because I really love Avatar Studios, like my family. Mike and Brian, my two dads, they mean it so much to me, and I would never want to speak out of turn
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
but at some point I was just like, I'm not going to speak for them, but I have to say, like, I want to be part of the voices saying, like, if you are telling yourself that this is fine and it's not a big deal because if you watch the leak, it means you love the show so much you can't possibly wait. That's not really what it is. And that's the hardest. Willpower is so hard. And I say that as someone who, if something I love, I found out was available to me, even though like technically like the powers that be that made it didn't plan that. It would be really hard for me because you have FOMO. You don't want to see something that someone else has seen. Da, da, da. But like, I really want to just encourage people that like we should all be able to come to this at the same time and have it be for the right reasons. And I feel very comfortable saying that, like, if Mike and Brian, if comment were made, and again, it's complicated because there's just a lot, there's a lot behind, like, who would have done this and all of that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I think it's a much bigger deal than maybe people think. And
Oh, 100%.
and I really look forward to a time when we can all talk about it together. And of course, I want to talk about it on the podcast with Dante. And that time is coming. So I'm really, really looking forward to this part being over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I was already very disappointed when it was announced that it's not going to come to the cinemas after all.
Yeah.
And it's going to come.
That's where I want the fight to go. I want the fight to go. We're
Exactly.
not going to watch the movie. but put it on a big
Put it on the
screen,
big
and
screen. Yes.
we will give you all our money,
Yes.
because I've seen it on the big screen and it is phenomenal. It is
I
so
imagine so.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so much better than watching it, than like slinging it onto your TV from
Mm,
a hacked link. Like, I really hope, that
no.
there will be some screenings
Oh
or
yeah.
something that allows people to really enjoy it on the big screen.
Yes, please. I would go. I
And
would
then,
definitely go.
would I want a Korra movie? I want whatever Avatar Studios wants to make. I genuinely do. I want every aspect, every part of every timeline, of what has, the stories that have been hinted at, or that, other avatars, or people that we already love and want to see more of. I'm just going to be happy with everything that comes out, and I'm so excited that there is stuff coming out, and that I,
Yes.
get to be
Yes.
a part of things in, one way or another.
Exciting. We're going to jump to Xavier. He's asking, what advice or wisdom would you give to Korra?
I mean, probably the same that I had to learn, although I don't know that she needs it now. But, I think just knowing that the lesson that we all need to be reminded of, which is that nobody's perfect, that you're here to learn, and that you're here to fail, and you're here to be supported and give support to people, and to be empathetic, and um, really show up every day without worrying about exactly what the day should have looked like, or what the year should have looked like. There's so much that's out of our control. We can only do what we have to work with on any given day.
I did leave this for last because I did want to ask about it, but then someone already asked it. One of your fans, Psy Rose. Since I haven't seen Korra nor The Last Airbender, I know you should know. You should go watch it. I'd like to know how she came up with Sketchfest and how she met the Riff Tracks Mystery Science Theater 3000
Yes.
people. If you happen
Oh,
to tell her this, do tell her that I love her riffs. She's super funny. Setting up a room
oh.
is always fun to watch.
Oh my gosh, that was such a ridiculous short. Yeah. No, that's a real, thank you for asking about comedy stuff. Yeah. Sketchfest, I went to SF State. I met my two partners, David Owen and Cole Stratton,
Mhm.
while I was at SF State. Cole was a film major, and David, like me, was sorry, Dad, English teacher, was a theater major, and they were roommates. They lived together, like in the dorms,
Okay.
those two. And we all were big comedy fans. I think we went to like a Kids in the Hall live show together,
Uh-huh.
and then just at some point, the group was actually bigger initially. There was a couple of other friends of ours who were working on trying to do this kind of improv and sketch group. And then as people's schedules got crazy and various things happened, it sort of boiled down to being four of us, my
Mhm.
two Sketchfest partners, and then me, and then our dear friend Gabriel Diani, who's a wonderful filmmaker, who's still a very, very close friend of mine. Um, and when Gabe was off doing a one-man show, we had been doing sketch comedy together, the four of us. He went off to work on that, and we sort of used that time, in a sense, to put together this local festival, because it was very hard to find spaces where you could do sketch comedy in San
Uh-huh.
Francisco. There's a lot of great stand-up locations, but harder to, like, when you're doing sketch, you don't necessarily want to do like, here's my play for 30 days that I've rented this theater out for.
Yeah.
So we got together some other local groups and put on this local comedy festival. And then it went so well, and got such great press, and we sold out all our shows. And so we just kind of expanded it. And it really has been expanding organically ever since. Just now we have like, 13, 14 venues of
Mhm.
all shapes and sizes, and do all different forms of comedy. And that is how I met the Riff Tracks Mystery Science Theater gang. Is like one of our very early first couple of years. I think we had the Upright Citizens Brigade. We had Fred Armisen came very early on. Bob Odenkirk came pretty early on. A lot of people who like took a chance on us. And in fairness, I think they just loved San Francisco, and they were like, a reason to go to San Francisco, sure. But among them were Mike, Kevin, and Bill, who we reached out to and said, we love you guys. We're such huge fans. Like, we are part of the reason we do comedy. We're doing this, we're put together this crazy raggle-taggle, uncorporate, totally indie grassroots festival. Would you guys want to come do something?
Yeah.
And they said yes, and they put together like this really fun, I think they called it a symposium. So it wasn't just like sitting in front and watching a movie. It was like talking about making comedy and bad films and all this kind of stuff. And we all just like really got along with them. And they and David was doing more producing on the producing side, and Cole and I were in LA at that point, or soon to be in LA, and had been doing more comedy writing and performing together. And they asked us if we wanted to start working with them on stuff, and we were like, "Are you crazy? Like, no need to ask. This is a total dream come true." And so, yeah, we've been able to work with them and do these live shows together, and I count them as wonderful friends. Mike doesn't do as much traveling anymore, but Kevin and Bill are just two of my all-time favorite people, and I love it's just such a another great community. The kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000 Rift Tracks community is just full of delightful, super smart, great nerds. And so I'm like, yeah, I love being a part of it.
Oh yeah, I bet. It's always fun to be part of comedy. It's the best
Yes!
thing ever. All right. Those were our fan questions. Thank you so much, guys, for participating. It was fun. And I did promise a little game. We're gonna do rapid fire, easy rules. I'm gonna say two things and you have to pick one very quickly. Are we ready?
Ready.
All right. Korra or Aang?
Korra.
Earth or fire?
Earth.
Water or air?
Water.
Republic City or the Spirit World?
Republic City.
Strength or balance?
Balance.
Scripted or improv?
Oh.
I know, I'm sorry.
Scripted.
First take magic or last take perfection?
First take magic.
Live audience or recording booth?
Live audience.
Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Control or surprise?
So let's say surprise, because I should be better at that.
Planner or figure it out later?
And yet, planner. Comfortable
or challenge?
Comfortable. I don't want to be challenged right now. I know I'm going to get challenged. It's going to happen no matter what. Can't I just be comfortable?
Of course you can. Routine or chaos?
Routine of chaos.
Nostalgia or moving forward?
Moving forward.
Talking or listening?
Oh, that's really hard. I don't want just one. That you have to have both. Listing, Hawking.
Book or TV?
Book.
TV or cinema?
TV.
Concert or theater?
Concert.
And finally, coffee or tea?
Tea. So I am a tea person through and through. Ira would be proud.
Oh, definitely. Ira would love that. Ira would definitely love that. All right, fantastic. And you prepared a dad joke for me.
It's so stupid, but that's what we're here for.
Oh, definitely.
I got this brand new pen that can write underwater. I mean, it can write other things too.
When does a joke become a dad joke?
When does a joke become a dad? This is a problem, is that I like solving puzzles. So of course I feel like I want to actually get this answer right instead of just letting you tell me it. But I'm going to let you tell me, when does a joke become a dad joke?
When it's apparent.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's dad joke built right in. It is a dad joke about a dad joke. It doesn't get more meta than that. It does not get more meta than that.
I love it so much. Give me all the dad jokes and I'll be very happy. All right, fantastic. And before I let you go, which I am very sad about, I know NDAs are very strict, but what is something you can share with us that we can see you this year or very soon? What can you share? What is a little tidbit that we can get?
There's a Netflix series that had a first season. It's called Splinter Cell. It's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. I think if you're getting specific, it's a really fun espionage show that I love a lot. Liev Schreiber is the lead. I get to be his boss. And I'm sort of a hard ass, a very fun hard ass boss who wears like cool aviator glasses and has red hair, which is a weird coincidence because I wasn't thinking about that when I colored my hair. Her name is Grimm, Grimm, and I would say you can watch the first season now and keep your eyes peeled
All right, Janet,
Yeah.
this was so much fun as always.
Yeah,
And
same.
hopefully we can do it again whenever maybe something big comes out that might
Yes,
have
yes.
something to do with Avatar or
Totally up
something
for it.
completely new. Who knows?
Yeah.
But this was definitely fun. Is there anything you would like to plug in that I can spread to the people? Any links where they can find you? What should we put?
I mean, the only other thing I will say that is totally unrelated to really any of what we've talked about, we're in the middle of because it can happen any time of year. It doesn't just have to be this couple of weeks that are happening right now. But one of the podcasts I do is for a totally independent co-op employee-owned podcast network, which is incredibly rare. I think it's the only one of its kind, called Maximum Fun. The McElroy brothers are on it. Judge John Hodgman is on it. A bunch of really terrific, nerdy, wonderful, great podcasts are on it. Ife Nwadwe is on it. There's just a bunch of great people. Lots of podcasts to choose from. It's an entirely listener-supported network, and right now, as you and I were recording this, we're in the middle of our little pledge drive where we ask people to subscribe for $5, as little as $5 a month. It gets you, again, like 30 amazing podcasts with tons of bonus content. But it is the only way that network runs, period. It is not like owned by Amazon because a billionaire was like, I'll collect that too. And the people who make these shows are really a family, and I just want them to succeed and pay their rent and feed their children and their dogs and their cats. So that's MaximumFun.org. And then you can do MaximumFun.org/join. The podcasts I have on there are the JV Club, and there are bonus episodes of that. Tons and tons of episodes with Avatar people and a bunch of the cast of Mad Men for some reason, a bunch of people I know from a bunch of different worlds that you love. And then the podcast I'm doing right now on the show or on the network is called E Pluribus Motto, that I do with a great John Hodgman, very famous and wonderful author, who writes for New York Times. We have been exploring each state in the United States individual motto, state symbols, which is this very fun, crazy thing that I think exists all over the world, and we're probably just going to expand it out once we finish the United States. But it's like the state flower is the rose, the state bird is the mockingbird, the state snack is the corn muffin, the state motto is from our, like, there are some famous ones, like a lot of people have heard New Hampshire's is live free or die. So we've been doing this sort of virtual road trip together where we bring in tons of listener feedback and individual places that people love about the place they're from. And it's been such a healing experience in the time where the country feels so divided. It's just been really lovely to learn about all of these different places in the United States and hear from listeners about the places that they love and what makes their state so unique and weird and wonderful. It's been great. So
fantastic.
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm going to put the links in the description, people. So go
Great.
there and clickety click and support if you can. It's $5 is really not that much. So, if you can chip that in, go in.
It's definitely making a bigger difference than like your Netflix $20 a month subscription. I promise. Yeah. I've really become the person that's like, I'm going to cancel the subscription and then I'm going to watch everything I want in a month and then I'm going to cancel it again. Yeah. This is too much money. And that is not this. This is totally listener supported, and it's just the best people. So
amazing. Yeah, go for it, guys.
Thanks for letting me pitch that.
Yeah, of course. I love that. I'm gonna go and do the supporting as well. So you should follow my
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Janet, again.
All right, my dear.
And then
thank you.
we're gonna talk soon, hopefully again.
All right.
When we have
there's good stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And bye, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and like this. Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this episode and you are looking forward to the next one. I can promise you that there will be even more amazing guests coming on, and I just can't wait to share that with you. And just to make sure that you don't miss out on anything, please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and like and comment. Stay in the loop. Stay with me. And there are other things coming, are already on the way. We'll find out soon. See you again next time.